Good evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Jefferson Robbins. Grant Olson will be joining us a little bit later on with a very special wardrobe choice. But before we get to today's news stories, we need to take a quick look outside at our weather window. It's pretty placid outside right now. This is our view from our Blewett Pass Sky-Fi camera. Look, passage over the pass looks pretty easy right now, but we're going to be looking for some winds tonight on the increase. And by Saturday morning, the National Weather Service is calling for sustained winds in the Wenatchee Valley of about 15 to 25 miles an hour, with gusts as high as 30 to 35 miles an hour. My Christmas tree went rolling across my front yard the other night, so I know something about that. Grant's going to have more on that coming up a little later on in the weather. But right now, a few of the stories we're following for you tonight. Back in December, a Chelan County jury convicted a man of just 1 out of 3 criminal charges, but now even that charge has been dismissed. Wenatchee police believe a $2,000 tactical shield went missing after it was used in a raid back in mid-November. And the Grant County Sheriff's Office today is paying tribute to the memory of a fallen deputy on the 10th anniversary of his death. But we begin tonight with an Auburn tourist who was vacationing in Leavenworth who wound up jailed on New Year's Day after his girlfriend interrupted him having sex with another woman. Nariman Yusupov allegedly threw a bottle at his girlfriend in their Leavenworth hotel room and said he was going to kill her. Chelan County Sheriff's deputies arrested Yusupov shortly after midnight and said he denied the charges. He's held in the Chelan County Regional Justice Center on $10,000 bail. Well, back in December, a Chelan County jury convicted Andrew Ryback of just 1 out of 3 criminal counts, but even that charge has now been dismissed. The jury originally found Ryback guilty of bail jumping for missing a court date, but it acquitted him of firearm theft and harassment. Last week, a judge threw out the jury's decision, saying prosecutors didn't provide enough evidence to merit a finding of guilt. Ryback was one of 10 King County residents who rented a Coles Corner house last Memorial Day weekend. He was arrested and charged after his fellow renters accused him of stealing one of their handguns and threatening to burn the house down. Well, Wenatchee police believe a $2,000 tactical shield went missing after it was used in a raid back in mid-November. The loss was first noticed on November 27th. Captain Brian Chance says officers looked all over their own buildings and vehicles for the lost equipment before they concluded it was left at the property where they'd recently served a search warrant. But a check at that property again found no sign of it. The composite fiber shield is about 34 inches high and 20 inches wide with a viewport and mounted lights. It weighs 21 pounds. There's no reward for returning it to the Wenatchee Police Department, but they promise there'll be no questions asked and, importantly, no charges filed. Well, the Grant County Sheriff's Office today is paying tribute to the memory of Deputy John Bernard on the 10th anniversary of his death. Bernard was the first person to die in the line of duty in the more than 100-year history of the Grant County Sheriff's Office. On January 3, 2010, the 52-year-old deputy was involved in a rollover accident on Road 5 Northwest, about 9 miles south of Ephrata. Bernard was survived by his wife Tammy and 3 sons, Ryan, Brandon, and Jeff. Well, coming up next, Chelan County salmon habitat projects get an extra boost in grant funding. 5 applicants down, but how many more to go before the Wenatchee School Board fills all its seats? And Richard Paris, the fire chief of the Grand Coulee Volunteer Fire Department for more than 23 years, has retired. I'm Jefferson Robbins. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
People are really skeptical of our industry. They have been sold products, they have been sold policies they either don't need, don't understand, confusing. I understand that. We are more about the process and the people. Our SFG roadmap is designed to take care of all of those concerns. For those that have questions about their retirement, we would love the opportunity to sit down and chat with you.
AC Checker has new owners who put customer service first. When you have to get there on time, call fast, friendly, reliable AC Checker, 663-TAXI. AC Checker has the industry's only on-time or it's free guarantee. Conditions apply. Call AC Checker, 663-TAXI to schedule your cab or schedule online at acchecker.com. Call American Classic Taxi, 663-TAXI. That's 663-8294.
You love to help others. You need a solid career. You can have it all with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take patient vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain medical records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, visit chartercollege.edu because we work to get you to work.
Welcome back. In other news tonight, more than $1.6 million in grant funding is headed to Chelan County for its salmon habitat projects. The new grants from the Washington State Salmon Recovery Board, just announced this week, will go to the county's Natural Resources Department, the Chelan Douglas Land Trust, the Colville Tribes, Trout Unlimited, and other groups to pay for salmon-specific projects around the county. They include improving stream flows, preserving land from development, and enhancing habitat around vital creeks. Well, there's 5 applicants down, but how many more to go before the Wenatchee School Board fills all of its vacancies? Monday at 5 p.m. is the deadline for 2 applicants to fill 2 vacancies in the district's leadership. One incumbent board member resigned late last year, and a newly elected board member moved out of the district and is unable to serve. The 3 sitting board members will choose their replacements. Candidates must be registered voters living within the district boundaries. All will be interviewed, and the 2 new members selected by the end of next week. Well, Richard Paris, who's the fire chief of the Grand Coulee Volunteer Fire Department for more than 23 years, has retired. Paris recently retired from his job at Grand Coulee Dam and says he has plans to do some traveling, but will still volunteer as a firefighter and EMT with the department. He started as a volunteer firefighter in 1980. Assistant Fire Chief Ryan Fish will serve as interim chief until Paris's replacement is named. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up, Grant Olson is sliding into his Buffalo Bills jersey for tonight's feature story on the sports, plus your complete local weather forecast. That and much more is still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Stay with us.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Mary Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Mary Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Mary Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today. 509-663-1710.
This is Caitlin Hedershe, the producer of the NCWLIFE magazine. Each week, I'm bringing you a look behind the scenes of the faces, places, and events that make North Central Washington the place we call home. Tune in every weekday for an in-depth look at a new topic each week. From local artists in their studios to businesses breaking barriers that might surprise you and everything in between. Join me on the NCWLIFE magazine right here on the NCWLIFE channel.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. The debate over voter-approved $30 card tabs is expected to widen the rift between urban and rural Washington when lawmakers convene in Olympia in 2 weeks. The state legislature convenes its short 60-day session on January 13th. 12th District House Representative Keith Gaynor says it will be a challenge for lawmakers to find common ground. Gaynor outlined his concerns in a recent interview with NCWLIFE's Steve Hare.
you know, when you look at the $30 tabs, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, the Seattle area, they were fine with, you know, keeping things the way they were, but once again, that rural-urban type divide, you know, the others were not so. And with Sound Transit, I mean, that was greatly impacted. And so there's a lot of transportation projects that are on hold right now. And I think that, you know, that's something that is a real challenge for us to, you know, if we tell the voters or the citizens that this is what will happen, and then you keep, you know, changing it, you know, by creep, you know, adding this, you know, little add on, and next thing you know, you've lost, you know, you've left where you said you would stay, and, you know, the voters are not real, you know, appreciative of that. So there's a challenge that we have to come up with the transportation dollars, because maintenance and preservation of our existing infrastructure is lacking right now. And yet, as I mentioned, with the influx of people, you know, into the state, you know, we have more and more pressure on our roads and bridges, and we have a, you know, tremendous backlog of inventory of projects that need to be maintained, you know, let alone, you know, new interchanges and that type of thing. So the challenge is certainly before us to come up with a way to fund those things.
Do you see a mileage tax as a possible alternative?
Well, I think that,
or maybe to augment what we've got?
I think that that's certainly something that will be talked about. I'm not personally in favor of that. You know, I really feel like what we really need to do is to really, you know, get more, in a sense, where we prioritize our projects better. I mean, we tend to be reactive to things, and some of the projects that we've seen in the past have been more political rather than actual, you know, a systematic, you know, build out of the infrastructure. And yet that's a difficult thing to do when you have, as I mentioned, just these short sessions trying to put together a transportation plan that, you know, will, you know, take care of the state going forward. I mean, we end up with a nickel package. You end up with a, you know, a short-term process that does address some of these projects. But to, you know, from my experience at local government, I mean, we had, you know, a plan that we put in place, and we, you know, tried to check them off as we went. And unfortunately, we tend to be more political in our projects at the state level.
Time now for a check of your north central Washington weather forecast. And after a gorgeous day yesterday, a high temperature of 44, another beautiful one out there in the Wenatchee Valley today. This is our shot this afternoon. Of course, Turtle Rock right there, great silhouette of the turtle shape for Turtle Rock. Some clouds in the background along the Cascades, but all in all, man, it was a beautiful early winter day, wasn't it, across north central Washington? High temperatures unofficially today, even a little bit warmer than yesterday at 45 degrees. That's way above where we should be for this time of year. 32 is our normal high temperature, 34 our low this morning, and that's above 23, which is our normal low temperature. Record high set back in 1963 at 51 degrees, 1 below zero, our record low, and that was set in 1993. We did pick up a trace of moisture overnight, but that means we're still sitting at 3/100ths of an inch of moisture since January 1st. Sunrise this morning, 7:48, gained a minute on our sunset now at 4:23. Let's take a look and see how your Saturday shapes up as we get into this first weekend of 2020. Still hard to believe, isn't it? And tomorrow, a lot like today, except a little bit warmer. We'll see 50 degrees almost in Moses Lake, upper 40s for Ephrata, Quincy, and Wenatchee, Ellensburg 49, even middle 40s for Leavenworth, Cashmere, also Chelan at 46 tomorrow, and Omak you will see 44. The big news for Saturday, which we're going to get into in a second, lots of wind, and we'll talk about that, as I mentioned, here right around the corner. First, let's take a look at our surface loop for tonight, and we do expect some cloudy skies, also breezy conditions. This will be the start of a lot of wind. Look how tightly packed these isobars are, and that means a lot of wind. And the purples and reds, look at that out in the Pacific Ocean. That is very, very strong winds, and that will move our way for Saturday. Partly cloudy skies. We'll see a west wind about 15 to 20 miles an hour steady, with gusts between 30 and 35 miles an hour, and warm. Look at that. We're talking 50s down in the Tri-Cities and Moses Lake. You'll be in the 50s for Saturday as well. For Sunday then, as we end the weekend, it'll be mostly cloudy, still a bit breezy. You can see that right here along the Rocky Mountain front, but you can also see a good amount of snow and rain, and we will see a 40% chance of that here in the Wenatchee Valley. That's on Sunday. For Monday, mostly cloudy skies, still a chance for the wet stuff, a 30% chance for rain and snow. This is heavy amounts of rain in far western Washington. That's for the Forks area, and around Port Angeles we'll see a lot of rain. For Tuesday, cloudy skies, a 40% chance for rain and snow. It still will remain mild, but look at the state of Washington and most of the panhandle of Idaho, very wet on Tuesday. So we're going to start off our next week on the wet side, but things will dry out then as we get into the middle of next week. Mostly cloudy for Wednesday, dry and mild. See lots of sunshine even around Spokane area with temperatures once again around the 40-degree mark. As we get into the end of next week, mostly cloudy. We will stay unseasonably warm thanks to this area of high pressure, which is dragging all of this warm air right into Washington state. But beyond Thursday, more of the wet stuff, and we'll talk much more about that when we get together next week. Let's take a look now at your Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling 7-day forecast. It's going to be another mild one overnight tonight with 32 degrees expected, 20% chance for maybe a rain-snow mix overnight. Warm and windy for your Saturday. Remember, gusts possibly as high as 30 to 35 miles an hour in Wenatchee tomorrow. But look at that temperature approaching record highs at 48. We'll cool down quite a bit as a cold front moves through on Sunday. 40% chance for rain and snow and 39. 38 on Monday. We're going to stay with a decent chance for rain and snow both Monday and Tuesday. But what's nice, our temperatures will stay nice as well. 40 for Wednesday and 38 your high temperature next Thursday. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, I will have a look at tonight's sports report as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
When it comes to our community, you can count on Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram to be invested. From supporting community college scholarships through a concert series or participating in a local high school homecoming event, Town Chrysler has always put the community first. Buying local supports the jobs and programs you care about most. When it comes time to buy your next new or used car, SUV, or truck, remember, there's no reason to leave town.
Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
With TV advertising, what we want to do is more deeply connect with the community.
People spot me in different parts around North Central, Costco and Wenatchee, say, hey, you're the pizza guy. And so they wouldn't know that if it weren't for the TV commercials we've done.
We've been here so long that people already know who we are and what we do, but to have that image flash on their television screen as opposed to just hearing it in the radio or seeing it in the newspaper. I just love the fact that we can actually put our finger on when a customer comes in and says, I saw your ad.
It's becoming increasingly difficult in this digital age to know where are your customers listening or watching, because I watch all the different channels that they watch too, like Cooking Channel, History Channel, and so it was wonderful to be able to be on there.
I would say that if you want to do business in Wenatchee, then you should connect with the people of Wenatchee, and there's no better way to do that than with NCWLIFE.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
Good Friday evening, everyone. Grant Olson in for Eric Granstrom with a look at NCWLIFE sports. And we're going to start off tonight with what everyone is talking about, and that is Seattle Seahawks football, their wild card game against the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend. And the Philadelphia Eagles reached the playoffs by winning its final 4 games of the regular season, including knocking off division opponents to win the NFC East. Seahawks linebacker Bobby Wagner says they're a much different team than what Seattle saw in Week 12, 17-9 win.
You have to respect what they've been able to accomplish. We've been in situations like that before where, we've been able to rattle off a lot of wins towards the end of the season. So you can't overlook them. You can't sit here and pay attention to what their record was when we played them the first time and think that's the same team. We have to relearn them, to an extent, and treat them with the respect that they deserve and understand we coming into their house. We beat them at their house the last time, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to just let us come in there and do it again. So we have to make sure we come in with the mindset ready to go, ready to, do it again.
Philadelphia has been decimated by injuries this season, yet still finished with the 9-7 record. Seahawks coach Pete Carroll says the credit goes to Eagles coach Doug Peterson.
Coach Peterson does a terrific job of using their people and using their strengths, and he's very adaptable in that, and that's what he's done, and to get Greg Ward going, and now he's caught a bunch of balls since our game, and he's a featured guy in the pass game, and without Ertz for a while, he goes right to Goddard, and away they go, and so they running backs too, Boston Scott came in and picked right up, where Sanders left off, and he really plays to his personnel really well. So he gives them their best chance to be at their best, I think, and it's a really, really good coaching job.
Seattle has proven in the 11-5 season that running the football is crucial for its success. There are huge worries about that recipe going out the window with injuries to all three of Seattle's top running backs. But Coach Pete Carroll has been pleasantly surprised by rookie running back Travis Homer.
When he gets the ball in his hands, he's got a really good style, attitude about running the ball. He just is downhill and gives you everything he's got. And that suddenness really is an asset. And we love the way he plays, love the style of his play. And that's all he's ever done. He's never been anything but full speed. He's 1,000% every time he gets the ball in his hands or chases a punt or whatever he does in special teams. He's been really true to who he is, and so it wasn't a surprise. It was good to see him be effective, and have an effect on the game in a positive way. He's throwing his body at it about as much as a guy can do it. When we had the two running backs hurt, and he gets the next carry, and he gets the ball going up the sidelines, and he just crushed into the guy on going out of bounds. I'm going, Homer, no, because he's all we had, But and I told him, and I said, look, you got to pick your spots here, because we don't have any depth. And he looked at me like, there ain't no way. He didn't listen to a thing I said. He was going to go downhill, and that's the way he plays. So I love it about him, and discretion isn't really going to be one of his strengths.
During last Sunday's narrow loss to San Francisco, it was noted that Marshawn Lynch took the time to give the Miami rookie encouragement. Carroll says that's evidence of Marshawn's evolution with his return to the NFL.
I mean, it's kind of a classic mentoring moment, when the guy that you look up to, and Homer does look up to him. He for years when he was growing up, he made that comment, that Marshawn was a big deal to him, and to have that kind of willingness on the part of 24 to share himself and share his scars and all that, and pump him up and all, praise him too, all of that's really powerful, and it's a real tribute to Marshawn.
Seattle and Philadelphia will be the last game of the NFL's Wild Card weekend, kicking off Sunday at 1:40 on NBC. Well, here's a reminder of the rest of the schedule for Wild Card weekend. It begins with my Buffalo Bills. That's right, go Bills. They'll be in Houston taking on the Texans tomorrow afternoon at 1:35. That game will be on ESPN. That'll be followed by the Titans in New England battling the Patriots at 5:15. That game on CBS. Then prior to the Seahawks and Eagles Sunday, it's the Saints hosting the Minnesota Vikings. That kickoff at 10:05 on Fox. Well, area high school teams get to play their first games of the new decade tonight and tomorrow across the region. It begins tonight on the girls' side when Moses Lake hosts University at 5 o'clock, and then at 5:45 it's Eastmont at Pasco. Wenatchee's on the road at Ferris. Ephrata hosts Quincy in the Battle of the Basin. Cascades up at Okanagan, and Chelan hosts Kashmir. Finally, at 6 o'clock, the Manson girls play at Oroville, while Waterville-Mansfield is at Tonasket. Meanwhile, in boys basketball for tonight on the boys' courts, it's Moses Lake at Rogers. That tip-off is at 6:45. Quincy plays at Ephrata at 7:15, while Okanagan hosts Cascade. Then at 7:30, it's Eastmont at Pasco. Chelan hosting Kashmir, Manson at Oroville, and Waterville-Mansfield will be in Tonasket. Basketball action for Saturday coming up tomorrow. The Yeniak girls play at Selkirk. That game is at 3 o'clock. Quincy plays plays at Othello at 3:15. The Moses Lake girls are at Kings. That tip-off is at 4 o'clock. Grandview hosts Ephrata at 5, and the Waterville-Mansfield girls host Oroville at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, on the boys' side of things, the Eniat and Selkirk boys game starts at 4:30 tomorrow. Moses Lake plays at Lewiston at 5, while Grandview hosts Ephrata and Quincy's at Othello. Finally, at 7:30, Oroville plays at Waterville-Mansfield. Well, Wenatchee wrestlers are in the Spokane area for the next 2 days. The Panthers are along with 9 other teams wrestling at U-High's tournament. That is at 4 o'clock today, and then tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. The Quincy boys will be wrestling along with 7 other teams at a tournament in Cheney. That begins tomorrow morning at 10. Cascade is west of the mountains, along with 8 other teams in the Castle Rock for the Rocket Invitational. That begins at 10 a.m. There's also a double duel tomorrow morning in Chelan, where the Goats host Omak, Kashmir, and Okanagan at 10 a.m. In girls wrestling, it's Cascade, Kashmir, and Eastmont, and 36 other teams. They'll take part in one of the biggest tournaments for girls on the West Coast. It's the Women's Woolley Tournament, starting tomorrow morning at 10 at Cedro Woolley High School. The Wenatchee Wild ring in the new year tonight at the Town Toyota Center with the game against Victoria. That puck drops at 7:05 during Roaring 20s night. This is the last time you'll have a chance to see the Wild at home for 2 weeks. Wenatchee plays at Vernon on Sunday and will be on the road next weekend before finally returning home on January 17th. I'm Grant Olson in for Eric Granstrom, and that is a look at NCWLIFE sports. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, Grant. Nice shirt. And finally from us tonight, a coyote apparently decided the best way to ring in the new year was with a roll or two in the snow at Interstate 90 Wildlife Crossing on Snoqualmie Pass. A Washington Department of Transportation camera recorded the playful animal in action on New Year's Eve. Let's take a look. Definitely had a more energetic New Year's Eve celebration than I did. Speaking of playful and cuddly, let's check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Thank you very much, Grant. I hope everybody has a schmantabulous weekend. Come join me Monday morning. The conversation portion of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley come Monday. It's Steve Hare's conversation with Allison Williams. She'll wrap up her long career with Wenatchee City Government as she takes her new job in Moses Lake. She'll reflect on everything good and bad as being the Executive Services Director of the City of Wenatchee. Steve Hare's conversation with Allison Williams, plus everything else you need to get your weekday going. Come Monday morning at 7 a.m. live right here from Studio 17 in downtown Wenatchee. It's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Start your day the local way on the NCWLIFE channel. We'll see you Monday. Grant, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. That's going to do it for our newscast tonight. For more on these stories and other news from around North Central Washington, you can find us on Facebook or on our website at ncwlife.com. And remember, if you see news happening, we'd like to hear from you. You can send us an email at news@ncwlife.com or give us a call, 888-6295. That's 888-NCWL. I'm Jefferson Robbins. Thanks a lot for joining us, and please have a great weekend.
NCWLIFE channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's learn. Guada TV. Street Talk and other stuff. The 12th District. Life with Lisa. And the Arbiter of Stoke. NCWLIFE channel is your local TV station.
Have a fun video you'd like to see featured on NCWLIFE? Email us at newsphotos@ncwlife.com.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to check out the NCW Movie Guide to keep up on what movies are playing in our town.